That's right. It's the Monday Morning Mechanic. This is the Dirt Bike Channel podcast where we talk about AMA Supercross from over the weekend. Today we're talking about round 9 in Atlanta, Georgia. Karen, weren't we going to go to Atlanta this year? Why did we not go to Atlanta?
I don't know.
Hot Atlanta?
I think we just decided not to. We're going to keep it on the west side.
We were kind of wondering, though, if they were going to have like a pit party or a party in the pits, and I don't know if they did because it looked like all the trucks were kind of down under the Mercedes-Benz Stadium there, so maybe we picked a good one not to go to. Normally, this Georgia Red Clay is like one of the favorites, but the guys have been saying that the dirt keeps getting harder and harder as the years go on. So anyway, riders just have interesting things to say about that Georgia Red Clay.
They were saying that it was a little too dry and that they didn't spray it enough.
Yeah, 250 guys were complaining about that a little bit. So, welcome in. It's Kyle Brotherson here. I've got my lovely wife, Karen, and we also have Kase. Kase, say hello to everybody.
What's up?
Is that all you can say?
Yep.
He sure is cute, though.
Oh, well, normally if you followed this podcast before, normally we kind of start off with the 250s. I'm not going to do that today.
Switching it up.
I want to start out with the 450s, and it's because
we got stuff to say.
Like the thing for me is just like last night was some of the best racing we've seen in the 450s, and we'll get into why that is, but it was also just inspiring for me. It was inspiring. I saw something off of a kid that is running around with a plate that has number 1 on his bike that is just kind of moving a little bit almost. When you know the backstory of what Cooper Webb was dealing with last week at the Triple Crown in Arlington, where he goes off that dragon's back, misses his front wheel on the last dragon's back, plows his front wheel into the single jump in front of him, and goes front flip over onto the concrete from about 12 to 15 feet high. Oh. And then the bike hits him. And then you see what he does this week, and you go, is there anyone more mentally tough than Cooper Webb in this championship?
I don't know. The mental fortitude of that kid is inspiring. Very inspiring.
Because when you saw what happened last week in Arlington, did you think that he was going to race the next week?
No, I didn't think at all.
It looked like I said his season is done because he's going to be out. There's no way
he probably broke his tailbone.
There's no way he can race next week, and I'm like, and even if he does come race next week, he'll get like 15th. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't. Like, he comes out there and he gets a freaking podium finish, and it was 100% blood and guts and pain and mind over matter.
Yeah.
Like, it was just absolutely insane. If you guys haven't watched it, you need to look it up on YouTube and just watch. Cooper Webb starts off that race, that main event, excuse me, in 13th place. And he slowly picks 10 of the best riders in the freaking world off.
Yeah. On a track that's hard to pass. When he's got a bruised tailbone and a bruised back and his whole, he was in so much pain at the end of the race, he couldn't even stand up on the podium straight. You look at him and he was just wincing in pain with every movement. And now he's off the bike. And I'm just like, this man, get this man a hospital. And they did. He went straight from the race to the hospital. He didn't do the post-race press conference. I mean, as soon as the race was over, and he was getting interviewed right there on the base or whatever. You could see in his eyes how much pain he was in, and even what's her face, Will Christensen pointed out the fact that he was in so much pain, and it's hard for you to even stand here. I'll just let you go. Good job.
He looked horrible. He had to reach down and pick up his number 3 trophy thing. And it was painful for him to even reach down and get it. What did you think, Kase, of Cooper Webb?
I thought it was awesome riding. And it was really tough for him I can't believe he made it back from 14th to 3rd.
It was unbelievable. I thought he's going to be lucky. When I saw him in 13th, I'm like, he'll be lucky to get 10th. Yeah. Or maybe even fall back further. I mean, think about it. Blake Baggett finished in 100th. No, Baggett
got
finished
taken out though.
Yeah, Baggett finished in 19th, but Baggett wasn't
like didn't get injured like Cooper Webb did the week before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you've got like big name guys that are getting lapped a couple of times. How in the world did Cooper Webb do that race without getting lapped? Karen, tell me that. How in the world did he not get lapped?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I will tell you how. It wasn't because of his body. It's because of his mind. He is the toughest guy mentally on that track, and I don't even think it's close. I think it's a country mile between him and the next toughest guy in their mind. They're all very tough. They're all very they all ride through injuries, they all ride through pain, they all do these things. But the dude fell flat on his back on the concrete last week. He
got launched.
Front flip onto his back.
Doozy.
It had to be lifted and carted off the track. I can't imagine he rode that bike hardly at all this last week. And then he's like, I got to minimize the damage because I'm the defending champion. I'm down 26 points. I got to like limit the bleeding. Any regular person would have not raced. I just can't believe he did it. And then I can't believe he picked all those people off. And the other thing I want to give props to Cooper Webb on is there's one person that did not pass him. Eli Tomac could not pass Cooper Webb.
Our basement was super loud when we were watching the 450 main. Don't you think, Kase? We were all just cheering and yelling, and Dad almost lost his voice. Well, he did lose his voice.
I think that's why my voice is still bad now. But like seriously, Tomac, we'll talk about Tomac in a minute because Tomac kind of has some racing incident or whatever, and he goes down. And Tomac is like now trying to claw his way back from like 14th. At the time, Cooper Webb is in 10th. Eli Tomac and Cooper Webb go through the pack and they pick basically everyone off in front of them, except for Ken Roczen, who wins the race. Like, we'll get to that. And except for Justin Barcia. But guess what? He could not pass Cooper Webb. Cooper Webb was basically not able to stand, and Eli Tomac is able to run through the entire pack, but not pass Cooper Webb. And I'm sitting there going, as it was unfolding, I'm like, well, Eli's going to get Cooper, and Eli, this, and this. And then once it got to about 2 minutes left in the race, then all of a sudden, and it was inspiring to me. I was looking at the way that Cooper Webb is riding. He's in pain, but suddenly I just remembered, and he made me believe he's a closer. Like, that is the thing. And Eli
dug deep.
And I don't want to say Tomac isn't a closer because I think Eli Tomac and Cooper Webb are closers. They get better as the race goes on, right, Karen?
Yeah, for sure.
Those are two guys that get better as the race gets deeper. And it's probably just because so many of the other guys fall off and they don't fall off as far. But here's Cooper Webb, and 2 minutes ago I'm sitting there thinking, I now believe he's in 5th place. I think he's going to get on the podium. And it wouldn't surprise me if he even got second. Justin Barcia was too far out there, but like he's got to run down Martin Davalos, and Martin Davalos is literally having the ride of his life.
He was awesome,
and he's in second place for like 18 minutes, right, Kase? And then suddenly Cooper Webb comes up, and guess what? There's Cooper Webb right there, and there's Eli Tomac right there.
And he just smashes him, and he's like, I need this win, my 3rd place, and you don't.
Kase, we were talking about when we were rewatching the race just now. We were talking about that thing that Cooper Webb was doing in that sand section. Kase, can you break down what Cooper Webb was doing in the sand section coming into it that Eli Tomac never picked up on?
I'm pretty sure after the finish line jump, he would go on the inside, and then he would go right before the section. He would turn like really close and almost like touch the tough blocks, and then he would go over the jump and then just zoom and like pass everybody.
Yeah, in that sand section, people were eating so much sand. But what was happening that we noticed is Eli Tomac was making a wide. They had a split lane, and Tomac was taking the other lane. And what happened was then it put Tomac on the outside, which is, it seemed like a good idea because then you could carry more speed and whip around the outside and come into the sand with way more speed. But then they had that wall hit right there that you could either, speed check. You could either like jump, sky it halfway through the sand, which Justin Barcia did a couple of times, or you could do what Cooper Webb was doing, which was to literally cut the corner so tight that it looks like you almost come to a stop.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how they might. I guess on a 450 you could do that. Maybe you could be in second gear or something to come around that tight right-hander and almost come to a bloody stop right there. And then all of a sudden he would just rocket out of the sand. And he passed. I think that's where he got most of his passes because no one else, not no one, but very few other people were doing it, and they weren't doing it as good as he was. That's the thing about Cooper is cornering. The reason why he's able to do what he does, he's faster in the corners than everyone else. He can cut down in the corner faster and harder than any other rider out there. And you just watch him do it. He comes in and he's like a little bit behind you when you're coming into one of these 180 corners. And then he just gets in the corner. He whips that bike around so much faster than anyone else, cuts down harder than, and gets right in front of him. I'm just like, holy crap. How is he doing that? 2 minutes to go. I'm like, he is going to beat Martin Davalos. And he is not going to lay Eli Tomac around him. And for once, I was sitting there thinking, Eli, you have no chance of passing him. And I was inspired. Like, I literally was moved. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but it was total inspiration. At the end of that race, I knew Cooper Webb wasn't going to let Eli Tomac around him. It was just like, holy crap. You got the fastest man on the planet behind you, but you're tougher than him your mind.
He turned into a brick wall that
Seriously.
no one could pass. It was awesome.
He's just like, I'm going to transform me and my bike into a wall that is impenetrable for Eli Tomac, and because I have to.
Yeah.
There was no choice. It was like, in Cooper's mind, I have to do it. Right, Case?
So, Case, what do you think Cooper Webb was thinking those last few laps? What do you think was going through his mind?
Oh, I'm in so much pain, and I'm not gonna let Eli pass me. And he's just like so much in pain.
Do you think he was just super convinced of, how good he's going to be or how successful he'll be? Do you think he was just thinking, I've got this and no one's going to stop me?
Yeah, he was just thinking about like how he was going to do it, and he's not going to let anyone by, and he's just going to race his race.
Nice.
What'd you think of it, Karen? Did it move you?
Well, I was like borderline screaming, not screaming. I was talking quite loudly, and I was just saying, don't crash, don't crash, don't crash, don't crash. Don't let him pass. Don't let him pass. And he was very inspiring. I was so impressed with, just they showed the crash again this week, and I had to look away because I don't love stuff like that. And just to see a guy that, our family roots for, and supports and encourages and whatnot, to see him hit the ground that hard, I don't want to see it anymore. So I had to look away. And so I'm just hoping and praying that he's just going to, pull it through. And he did. And they even were talking about how his dad was saying, from a young age, how he just kind of encouraged Cooper's mind resilience and
groomed him a little bit.
He groomed him a little bit to just be strong and willed, and just to get through hard things with just your mind alone, even if nothing else. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I like to watch sports. You see these things, and I was thinking about these times like when, like Michael Jordan, he goes into like an NBA Finals game when he's sick with the flu. Or, Kobe Bryant, or name the guy. It happens in football all the time, where it's just like, you don't feel well, but you're going to go out and you're going to do it. And it's super inspiring. It's that mind over matter. You couldn't do that every night, and you have to dig deeper than everyone else. And I loved it. My hat's off to you, Cooper. That was, I don't know. I think you gained some fans just to show how freaking gritty you are.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And his passes were clean.
Yeah.
He's a good kid.
He was, I mean, it was fun. Super fun. Let's move to Ken Roczen.
I think Case is out. I think he's going to go on to bigger and better things
Case
for
is
right
gonna
now.
Ditch. Okay, I'm going to mute your mic, Case. Thanks,
Say
buddy.
bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right. Okay. Muting Case's mic now. Boom. He's gone.
Thanks, bud.
Okay. Thanks, buddy. So let's move on, Karen. Let's move on to Ken Roczen. Ken was super awesome. Like, what were your thoughts on Ken tonight? Because obviously Ken wins the race.
Well, he got the whole shot and led every single lap. And I just thought that was really incredible. He he also just had a strong mind and thought, I'm going to do this and this is going to be my place and I'm going to just nail it. And he pulled away so far that I think he had a 14-second lead with second place. And then
it was further than that. It was almost 20 seconds by the end.
Well, that was with Tomac. Tomac, when we'll talk about that in a second, but Tomac from the last half or whatever, I can't exactly remember the timing, but when Tomac fell back a ways, it was like 22 seconds.
Almost 24, yeah.
From the leader, and he never got any faster, and he's passing people, but I think that was because he got some bonuses. But Ken Roczen, he really had it together, and he was inspiring as well because of his story. I think that's just really amazing to see how far he's come and how strong-willed he is, and we are big Ken Roczen fans around here. And Daniel Blair was also saying that Ken Roczen doesn't have any haters. There's people out there that don't love Bam Bam Barsha or this guy and that guy. But Ken Roczen doesn't really have any people who don't like him. They might not be massive fans, but at the same time, they don't have any haters. And I just thought that was a really neat thing. And I'm rooting for him. I hope he does good. So he's got the red plate back. He gets to share it with Tomac next week. And yeah, just hoping he can continue on this winning streak. He really wants to win Daytona. So yeah.
It's going to be a tall task because Eli Tomac, that's basically his bread and butter. I think Eli has won it the last. Well, I guess Justin Brayton won it there, but I think Eli Tomac has won it 2 of the last 3 years. Justin Brayton got one, which was just crazy because he's usually not a Daytona guy. But yeah, going back to Ken Roczen, his story is just super inspiring because of the things that he's had to go through. I've had to come around on Ken Roczen. He wasn't my favorite rider. I thought, it was hard for me to kind of, when he was younger, there was just kind of an edge to him that I didn't like, and that edge has worn off. And he's just
called marriage.
Yeah, I mean, he
marriage
got married
and aging and maturing.
Yeah, I've just loved to see his journey and then the adversity that he's gone through. And here's what I'll say about, and we've said it before, but when Ken Roczen is on, it's like poetry in motion. And just like Karen said, Eli Tomac, we generally think is the fastest guy on a supercross track, and that's because he's shown it time and time and time again. Well, guess what? Last night, Eli Tomac is making all these passes, but he's not making up time. He's not making up any time on Ken Roczen, and it's hard as you're the leader. From what we're learning, it's hard to maintain that gap sometimes because people behind you can try new lines and all these things, but they couldn't make up any time on Ken, and he just looked so good. And at one point of the race, when Eli was clear back in 13th, 14th place, Ken Roczen was going to be the points leader by like 7 points, and then Eli is able to kind of make all that stuff up and make up all that time. So let's shift over to Eli Tomac here. So last night, I mean, Eli, there's a lot to say, and because of what Eli was doing, it made it one of the most exciting races of the entire season.
Yeah, it was so fun.
One of the most exciting 450 races that we've had all season long because there was so much happening. Like you've got Roczen just literally checking out, and then Martin Davalos behind him, and Davalos doesn't have any real haters or anything. He's kind of like almost, he's a rookie in the 450s, but it's just he's been in the 250s forever. And
I'm a fan of Martin Davalos.
And so then you've got all these different guys. You literally have, the stars of the sport with Justin Barsha and Cooper Webb and Eli Tomac and Justin Hill and Aaron Plessinger. And Jason Anderson and Justin Brayton and Blake Baggett. And they're all back there. I mean, even Chad Reed. And they're all back there anywhere from, 3rd place to 10th place. And they're all just battling. It was like super, super exciting because you had all these like super, super top guys battling for like 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, which it was really fun to see all that. And Tomac kind of gets into it with Barsha a little bit. And Karen and I were talking about this. Like those two, that if Eli Tomac could pick the worst guy in the entire series to get really competitive and get really heated with, don't you think it's Justin Barsha?
Oh, yeah. They don't call him Bam Bam for nothing.
And he's
seriously.
not slow. Like Bam Bam, Justin Barsha is fast. He's figuring stuff out. He's probably having the best season he's had in the last 6 years. Barsha, the only thing that hasn't been good for Barsha is his starts. He has crazy speed. And he's got crazy aggression. He won Anaheim 1. And then here Eli Tomac is just like kind of putting it in on Barsha. And I'm thinking,
that's the last guy on the track that you want to put it in and swap paint with, right?
I mean, you're going to put it in on a New Yorker. I mean, that says enough, right?
Oh my gosh.
Not to like classify a whole state, but you know how New Yorkers are a little more edgy or whatever, and a little more feisty.
Karen's painting with a broad brush right now.
I am.
But yeah.
I just went to New York for the first time, and it was true. They are the sweetest people when you ask them like for directions or for help, and they'll just give the shirt off their back for you.
They might also step on you,
But
right?
they'll also stab you in the back, as you know, if you're in the way or if they're you're getting a cab or something. You know. So Bam Bam, he's just like that. He is, rough around the edges, and I would
Especially
not want to
during
pick.
the race,
I
right?
would not want to pick him as my enemy for sure. So I mean, that could come back to bite him next week. So I'm kind of hoping it does. I said that out loud, but
Yeah, and if you like, there was a time because I think Barsha passed Eli, and he passed him pretty clean because Barsha has crazy speed, and they're kind of like back there in the pack somewhere in the 10th to 6th range or something, trying to early on in the race, and Barsha passes Eli Tomac, and then Tomac just comes right back, and they kind of get into it a little bit, and Tomac passes him pretty hard and comes in contact with him.
and it hurts him.
Yeah, Justin Barsha said after the race that he's like, hey, if somebody hits me so hard it hurts, like that isn't cool. He's like, and I know I pass people like that.
I've been that guy.
I've been that. I'm that guy. I know what it takes to pass somebody and hurt them. And he's like, and when you do that, that's not cool. I'm gonna come back at you. And he did. Like they had a little back and forth, and they've had it for a couple weeks ago. They had it, and if you watch, there's some clips after the race that we saw on YouTube where Justin Barsha is laying. He is given Tomac the business.
Just right after the race on the sideline, just they're there talking to each other and
Talking is that's one way to put it.
sure, but they were both leaning in.
Barsha
and
is not talking.
Barsha's whole body language, every muscle in his body is like flexed and angry. The blood is pumping, and I am ticked off at you.
And Tomac isn't like just completely backing down, but you can see the aggressor is Justin Barsha in that scenario, and Tomac. And of course, Tomac is a man's man. Like nobody's going to intimidate Tomac. Tomac is not going to be intimidated.
Man.
He's not going to be intimidated, but at the same time, Justin Barsha is the worst person to piss off on the track. Other than Dylan Ferrandis, but Dylan is like happy-go-lucky and he's in another class. But I'm just saying, like, is there a worse guy to tick off than Justin Barsha? No, there's not. And so he's getting into it with him. I'm like, dude, Tomac, if you're in a championship run, you need to think this through first. You do not need to get into these little skirmishes with Justin Barsha in like 7th, 8th place. Yeah. I understand if this is like for a podium or even like 1st and 2nd, then it makes all the sense in the world. Yeah. But when it's like minute 3 of a 20-minute main event and you're back in like 7th, 8th, 9th place and you're doing this with Justin Barsha, dude, you got to have a little more common sense than that.
Yeah, and Barsha, in one of the interviews, he was saying something like, Tomac, all he wanted was to like claw his way back up to the top from the back of the pack, and it's not cool to take people out on the way up there.
Yeah, because Tomac takes out Blake Baggett. And that was the thing that ended up allowing Justin Barsha to get past Eli Tomac, and he checked out, and Tomac was never able to catch Barsha again. And Barsha said, he's like, yeah, you have Eli. He was just like on this mission, and he was just going to take everyone out to get up to the front, and that's not cool.
Yeah,
is what he said.
Yeah.
And I know Blake was not happy because Blake Baggett gets dropped to the dirt by Eli Tomac, and Blake is like pushing Tomac, trying to get him out of his way. Blake was not happy, and something must happen to the bike because Blake got lapped a couple times after that.
Yeah, and Blake, and he seems like kind of like a teddy bear. He's a dirt bike racer, so he can't be a teddy bear, but he seems like this calm, gentle demeanor or whatever. But to see him like get totally taken out by Tomac and then shoving him like, I was like, way to go, Blake Baggett, BB4. Yeah, I was impressed with his fortitude on that one.
How do you think Kaylee Baggett felt about that?
Oh man,
she's probably not going to be giving Eli a follow on Instagram.
Yeah, no, for sure. She is. She's not happy, Bob.
Or Breaker. Isn't that Blake's son, Breaker? He's too young now. Breaker's like 6 months or something. But Eli Tomac, and that was the thing I wanted to come back to is Eli Tomac passes everyone else on the track because he even passed Justin Barsha once. You know what I mean? But then he had that get off. So there were only 2 people on the track, Karen,
that Eli Tomac was not able to pass. Can you tell me who they were?
No.
Ken
yes,
Roczen.
Ken Roczen and Cooper Webb.
Cooper Webb. Those are the only two people that Eli Tomac was not able to pass. And I think that's worth bringing up. So pretty cool. And obviously we've talked about Barcia. Barcia, I think, had a great ride. The thing that I think with Barcia is he's kind of still in this thing. He's not that far off the points, and he believes that he can get more wins. The only thing he needs to figure out are his starts. If Justin Barcia starts to figure out starts, then he's right in this thing, just as much as Cooper Webb is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's like almost a full race back, it looks like.
But so is Cooper. Yeah, he's a ways back. He is 23 points back, or 23 points back. So he's ahead of Justin Cooper in the overall standings. So I mean, he's a ways back.
It is neat to see though that Eli Tomac and Ken Roczen are both tied for 200 points.
200 points. Yeah.
They dipped into the twos.
The other one that I wanted to mention, Justin Hill had a 6th place. Justin Hill is right there. I feel like Justin Hill is a guy that's going to figure this out. You know, to be a top 10 guy in the 450 class is awesome, but Justin Hill, I think, is going to be a top 5 guy. Mm-hmm. I hope he gets that figured out. He's had 5th, he's had 6th. You know, he's had some good finishes, but I'd like to see him continue to do well. The other one, Karen, that I have a real big question mark on is Jason Anderson.
I knew you were going to say that.
Can you tell me what's going on? What did he finish? 11th?
Yeah, 11th.
Karen, what is going on with Jason Anderson? For those that don't know,
he crashed a couple of times.
For those that don't know, Jason Anderson was the champ in 2018.
Yeah.
What is?
He was 3rd or 2nd for a while, right?
I don't think he was that close.
I'm pretty sure he was.
No, because it was all Martin Davalos. It was in 2nd.
Okay, so then he was 3rd for a while, and then him and was it Justin Hill? They crashed around a turn, and
well, he started in 9th. So you're saying he worked his way from 9th up to 3rd? Yeah,
he worked his way up, and then he crashed again. And that was one of those little, here you go, Eli, here's some more points for you.
Yeah, because Jason Anderson, one of those guys, they kind of toppled a few people, and so it was like, bam, Eli Tomac gets 3 people because of like Jason Anderson messing up.
Yeah, it was like a full-on freeway rear-ending.
Where he passed Plessinger and Stewart and Wilson and Anderson,
all in one little swoop.
There was a couple things like that. So Justin Barcia and Cooper Webb did get some gifts like that, but dude, Jason Anderson can't be riding like that. You know, he's better than that.
He is.
You know, I mean, to see Justin Brayton in 12th isn't that big of a thing. To see Vince Friese in 9th isn't that big of a thing. You know, Malcolm Stewart in 8th. Malcolm is kind of that guy. Malcolm is like a 10th, 9th, 8th guy, it seems like to me. Aaron Plessinger in 7th place. That seems right by me. But when you've got Jason Anderson down here getting beat by Vince Friese, I go, what? You know what I mean? Seriously. And even...
What?
Here are the ones. Like, Jason Anderson should not get beat by Martin Davalos. He shouldn't get beat by Justin Hill. He shouldn't get beat by Aaron Plessinger, Malcolm Stewart, Dean Wilson, or Vince Friese. Like, there's a bunch of guys right in front of him that I'm just going to go on record and say Jason Anderson should not get beat by.
Well, and he turned it on hot, though. So he was really trying to make some aggressive passes, and then they didn't stick. And then did he wash out a wheel, or I can't even remember where it was. And then the bigger one where they were all rear-ending each other, that was just super unfortunate. And then the race was over by that time.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the 450s before we move to the 250s?
I don't know. I just think that race is probably one, if there ever was going to be a race this season where I look back and I think, I want to watch that one again, it's going to be that one, this Atlanta one, because there was just so much going on and it was entertaining and there weren't big injuries, that kind of thing. So...
Sucks that we don't have Adam Cianciarillo.
I know.
I didn't even think about that until right now, but we did miss Adam.
Yeah.
Since he's out with last week.
I enjoy AC.
That bloody bad Dragons back last week in Arlington took out 2 of the top 5 riders.
I know.
Or you could say the riders took themselves out because they didn't respect the obstacle. So moving down to the 250 class, let's just go through the top 5. You've got Chase Sexton finishes number 1, RJ Hampshire number 2, Shane McElrath number 3, Jordan Smith pulls it in number 4, and then Joe Shimoda has his, I don't know if it's his first top 5, but he gets 5th there. Garrett Marchbanks, our Utah guy, is in 7th. Wasn't there another one? Pierce Brown was also a Sandy, Utah guy. So he's sorry, we're
geeking out on the Utah guys, but
I know.
Pierce was in 17th.
But it's like they're our home guys, you know?
Yeah, we've never met him. You know what I should do? I should try to get him on the podcast.
Oh, that would be sweet. Let's do it.
Boom. Reach out. We're going to reach Garrett Marchbanks from Colville, Utah.
We're coming for you.
Send me your phone number.
Oh.
You know, hit me up. Kyle at dirtbikechannel.com. Or, you know, even Pierce Brown. Pierce Brown, it says he's in Sandy, which is like 20 minutes away
Just
from us.
a minute away. Yeah.
Just bring him down. We're like, hey, Pierce, we'll give you lunch if you come down here. So, yeah. Chase Sexton, number one. I thought Chase rode great. I was very impressed with him. And I don't know if it's just because he's not racing against the guy I can never remember his name from the West Coast. When his name isn't in front of me, why can't I remember his name?
I don't know why you can't remember it.
You can't remember it either. His name is
Green Bike.
Okay.
Austin Faulkner.
I don't know if it's just
See,
because
I
he's
did it. I pulled it out, people.
I don't know if it's just because Chase Sexton is not riding against Austin Faulkner or if he's actually making steps forward. I hope that he is. I'd love to see in this East-West showdown that will be coming up here in a little bit. I would love to see Chase Sexton just go out there and give Austin Faulkner the business. That would be really fun.
Man.
I'm liking to see what I'm seeing out of Chase. He seems to be developing, and I'm impressed with him. I said a couple weeks ago there was no way he was going to have that red plate, and that Shane McElrath won that first race, and then it's just been all Chase Sexton since that time. And so,
Yeah.
if we did a section called Kyle Right, Kyle Wrong, I'd be way wrong on that. And I'm happy for
That's a
him.
good idea. Let's do it
Kyle
in
Wright,
all
Kyle
areas
Wrong.
of our lives.
We'd have hardly anything to talk about.
Or would we? I think we would have lots to talk about.
I don't know. We'll have to start keeping score on that. So,
Good
but
times.
Chase, he rode really well. I
He
was impressed with
did.
him. He led 11 of the laps. The guy right behind him, RJ Hampshire, is Karen's favorite rider from the East 250s. He actually led a
That's
bunch
some
of laps.
sarcasm, folks.
RJ Hampshire got the whole shot and led 8 of the 11 laps. 8 of the laps.
Oh,
So
man.
he led almost half the race. RJ Hampshire did, and took a while for Chase to get him, but he finally ran him down. What'd you think of how RJ rode?
Well, he got the whole shot, and he did pretty well. He led 8 of the laps, and he got passed by Chase, obviously, which I thought was neat because it wasn't dirty. It was just.
We were waiting for that. We were waiting.
We were waiting for
it's
Chase to get him back.
It's Chase he kind of wrote it in there a little bit, but it
A
wasn't
little last time, but that was just on one of the Triple Crown rounds.
No, but I'm thinking on this one, didn't he ride it in pretty close on
Oh,
RJ when he made the pass?
I don't think so.
I think it was just a little snappy thing. It was a little snappy thing, but it wasn't.
no. It was where his back wheel went like that in front of the front wheel. So he didn't even touch him, but he showed him.
Can you show us that again? Like what happened? The back wheel went what?
I can't make sound effects,
how
folks.
does-
I'm a girl.
How does that look on podcast land?
Oh.
The back tire goes.
Yeah, he just swung his back tire super quickly into a sharpness, and then
And it sounded like rip.
yeah, exactly on the sand or the dirt. That's where, whoa. Anyway, and he didn't even touch RJ, so I thought that was good. He showed him what's up, and he didn't touch him. So that's the way to race, folks. That's the way to race.
I think so. I think maybe if we could get. I wonder if Dylan is watching any of these races. He's like, hey, wait a second.
That's how you can pass someone?
Chase Sexton can pass people without taking them out? Dude, why haven't I heard of this? Oh, my goodness. Yeah. What about Shane McElrath? How'd you think he did? Shane
Don't
McElrath.
mess up his name. I love him. He's a good kid.
Why? Why do you
know.
love him? You've never even met him.
Oh, I have 2.
You have?
Yes.
When?
I don't remember.
In the elevator?
No, it wasn't the elevator. It was I don't know.
In the pits.
In the pits, but I can't remember which race we
Was
were
it
at.
in his truck or something? Like no? I'm just wondering
If you're
where it was.
wondering, I'm giving Kyle the evil eye right now because that's not how I roll, folks. He's got the guilty laugh right now. No, I did not do that. And I saw him at a pit somewhere. I can't remember where it was. And he was a really good guy. And he talked to the kids. And we took a picture and moved on.
Shane McElrath. He's a good guy in the pit. Karen's hitting me on the knee.
I did. I slapped him.
I just want to be, have some fun. I just want to know where you met, because I don't remember meeting Shane McElrath.
I do.
You know, Shane's a good guy though.
Yeah,
he got
did
a
good.
lot of sand.
He did.
How about sand? Those guys. Hey,
Oh.
I saw a screenshot. Kevin texted me.
Thanks, Kevin.
Kevin texted me a picture while I was at church of
We're sitting in church and Kyle's got the
Eli
phone
Tomac
out.
getting like absolutely sandblasted off of. I think it was off of Martin Davalos's tire.
Oh.
Like the sand, the Supercross guys hate the sand. They asked him that in the post-race press conference. The one that Cooper Webb didn't go to because he went to the hospital. Like, I think I'm going to skip that conference. I'm going to the doctor right now to try to get some morphine or something. But the guys hate the sand, and it's fun for the fans to be like, oh, look at that guy getting blasted, and so it's kind of fun. But like the riders,
But Barsha, he said something I never really thought about with the sand. He was saying, the sand is fun and all, and a lot of times you'll think, oh, I get my face blasted with sand and I can't see for a second. But what you don't realize is it goes down the back of their jerseys, and then they're riding with sandpaper the rest of the entire race.
It chafes them down the back of the jersey, and then it's chafing them kind of around the buttocks area. And
I never thought of that. I'm not a racer, so I guess that's why. But yeah, I just thought, poor guy.
And it probably goes down the front of your jersey too, so it gets in those hard to reach areas.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah.
You're on a roll today, Kyle.
What are you talking about? That's what he was saying.
It was, but he said it a lot more eloquently than.
No, he didn't. Yes, he did. Justin Barsha doesn't have.
He did, folks.
Justin Barsha doesn't have any eloquence that I don't have. Anyway, that is what happened.
It was a good race. I loved it.
It would have been fun to be there in person. I think the crowd was loving it. Ken Roczen said they asked him in the post race. They're like, "Hey, were you like? Could you tell like things were happening behind you because the crowd was going wild? Because there were lots of times that the crowd would have been crazy loud." And Ken was like, "No, I just
laser focused
because
put my head down.
You take your focus off for even just a second, you're gonna make a mistake." Oh, the other thing I loved because we were watching the race, and when the guys were coming around the mechanics, they would a lot of times they would come really wide around the mechanics area, and the mechanics are standing behind these like little stand-up foam things or whatever, and they're trying to hold the pit boards out, and some of the guys were coming out and pushing those stands back and everything, like and making the mechanics drop back and everything. And I said to Karen, I'm like, I bet you the riders don't even have time to see any of that.
No.
There's no way they can like they're in a battle or something, and then they can be like, oh, I wonder what my mechanic says on this little teeny whiteboard.
And Justin Barsha's like, I couldn't see anything anytime I passed, and I know my mechanic's got something good to say, but I can't see it.
Yeah, he's probably giving my lap times on
I'm
there.
trying not to die.
I feel so bad, but I can't even look at that thing, And I'm like, finally, we have one person to admit that is a completely pointless thing because you can't look at it. Ken Roczen's like, no, I couldn't look at anything that was happening. I'm just trying to focus on not crashing, going as fast as I can. And Barsha is laughing. He's like, dude, I feel bad because my mechanic's putting stuff down there that I don't even read.
And I'm sure there's places on the track that you could see, but that was not one of them.
Yeah, they can see that big old that big old pillar as they come around like the finish line and stuff, where it tells them the leaders, like the top 5. They can see that because it's massive and it's huge. Mm-hmm. But like you get a little 12-inch by 18-inch pit board, and then you're gonna ride on there like 2 different things
with super good doctor handwriting,
and you can't see it. Like they're coming around there like balls to the wall on the gas. Yeah, I'm gonna have time to like check out your
whiteboard.
Where
was the decimal point on that number?
Oh my goodness,
we've had this radio on too long. This ending song, so
it's got 23 seconds left. 22. This is the perfect way to do that because then we end like strong.
Oh my gosh,
we end so strong. Karen, do you want to do it?
No, I don't.
Guys, thanks for listening. Leave a single track.